All right, what's a grumpy state? Listen, we put labels on these California, okay. We put labels on these worker categories because most people can identify themselves in some of these groups. Like, what was the last one?
Quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting, that was it. Yeah. Julie Bauke joins us. She knows all about this. She's working every day. And she knows from you workers. What's a grumpy stare?
She works.
Like you, I am exhausted by these labels.
Yeah.
It every single one, quiet quitting, quiet firing, quiet hiring, they all are alluding or referring to something that has been true for decades. So none of this is new under the sun, including a grumpy stare. It's just a new headline. And so really what it is someone who stays, but they're not happy about it. Either they don't believe they can find what they want doesn't exist. They consider that what they have to be the best they can do for now. And in this case of this person that this article is referring to, he makes it, I'm going to make up a new one. Some people are quiet grumpy stayers. This guy is a loud grumpy stayer. He makes his displeasure known by very boldly and vocally telling management what's not working, and by, based on the article, being a tad disruptive. And that's certainly his right. But there's also a downside to that. You have to be careful.
So every office has this guy. Every workplace has this guy or more than one. And are they just eternal pessimists who just want to bitch about everything?
Right. This reminds me back in my HR days, which is a long time ago. But one of the things that really stood out to me was, like anything, 20% of the people are the complain, cause 80% of the complaints. And I would get these people, and it was like clockwork. They'd come in and they'd tell me what was wrong, and and some of the things they were certainly complaining about were very valid. But in general, with a lot of people, it's just a general dissatisfaction with the job, with life, with what's going on at home. There's a variety of things. But one of the things that was just so fascinating to me is I would sit there and listen to these litany of complaints, and I'd think, why are you still here? Now, why? If it's so bad, why don't you go find something else? Yes, we do have those people in our lives who it doesn't matter what the issue is. They'd complain about whose picture was on a $100 bill. They just don't. Mm-hmm. They just are programmed to be unhappy, and so there's a cost to that. And as a leader or as an organization, you have to be good at listening to those things and figuring out what are the things that there's a lot of truth to, that's really the flags being raised and you really ought to attend to, and then how much of it is just somebody who's continually spreading dissatisfaction among the troops and is really more trouble than they're worth.
So it sounds to me like the grumpy stares are being disrupted because they want to just get that severance and get fired, as opposed to the quiet quitters who are living in that world as well, but, just dealing with it. And you talked about, okay, the management needs to say, okay, what are they complaining about? What can we fix? But don't you think that the grumpy stare, if you're a grumpy stare, I know lots of grumpy stares, they need to just do a self-assessment and say, okay, why am I grumpy? What would be better? What would make me happy? Can I talk to somebody? Why do I feel stuck? Just make a list.
Yeah. And then say, okay, which of these things are in my control, mm-hmm. and which are the things that really aren't in my control, and can I have an impact on those things? So if it's something simple like the way that time off is, the way that a certain leader schedules time off, or something that is something that's changeable, that's in the ability of your leadership to help you with. Maybe the way your team meetings are set up, or the time of day, or So there's a fine line between, if there's things that you think would really make a difference and really help others be happier and more engaged at work, I think, it's okay to bring them up, but it's how you bring it up. Because if your leadership doesn't know that that's an issue, bring it up. But don't ever go to your leader without a potential solution. And so if you're just complaining to complain because it makes you feel good, know that that comes with a cost. And when it comes to layoffs, you might be on that list.
Yeah, and I've told this story for 40 years. The best piece of advice I ever got. I went to complain about something. The guy just sat there and smiled. I said, why is this funny? He goes, because you don't have an answer. He said, you're just bitching. He said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll think about this tomorrow when you come in here with a solution. I might not agree with your solution.
Yeah.
But at least think it through to a solution.
But there's always got to be the one side and then the other, and you have to be able to present that to your upper management if there's something you want to complain about. But let me ask you this, Julie. Is this the grumpy stares, is this directly related to the great resignation of years ago when everyone's like, I'm leaving for better thing. I'm going to work from home and it's going to be great or whatever. Reasons why they left their jobs. Now they don't like their jobs.
Yeah, you have to get what we're not good at as humans is really drilling down and figuring out what the issue is. Is it something at home that I'm bringing to work because it's safer to bring it there? Mm-hmm. Is it my relationship with my boss? Is it that I don't like the nature of my job? You can't change something that you can't diagnose and then figure out, is it fixable? So one of the things we do with people is help them think through. When they're unhappy at work, you have to figure out, first of all, what is it that you really want to do? What is it? Get super clear on what it is you want. The second question is, can I get it where I am? And if you can, then you have to make a business case for it and, approach it in a way that is going to reap the benefits you seek. If the answer is no, if I want something that's not available where I am, it's time to go. Instead of just sitting around wasting years being miserable and frankly, making the people around you miserable.
Yeah, that's it. Being a boat anchor at work. The other piece of this too is, we've talked, and we'll let you go in a second here, but we've talked about this, and I've bitched all the time about how inefficient work from home is in most businesses, in my opinion. It seems to me this is another reason to go to work. If you want to get FaceTime with the boss and want to get FaceTime with the people who could actually change what you're upset about at work, show up. You're not going to get that from home.
The one of the things that we do when we're at work, when we're in the office, is we all have a reputation. Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, we all are perceived in certain ways by our coworkers and by our boss. And you have in an office, and I think there are some people and in some professions, you can be very productive at home. But when you are in the office, one of the pluses of being in the office is you build relationships. And when you build a relationship and you work and you understand and you work hard on deciding what you want your reputation to be and then behaving that way, you get credibility and you have the ability to be influential. Because when you walk into the office and you're known as a grumpy stayer, almost everything you say is, there's a roll in the eyes. Even if it's,
that's Bob again. Bob's never happy.
Mm-hmm. Versus, somebody comes in and they're like generally a positive, productive person. They come in and say, look, here's something I really think you ought to take a look at. That will always be taken more seriously. So, yes, it is easier to build relationships, which really is the cornerstone of how we get almost everything done. And that definitely is lacking when you're at home 24.
And if your boss is working from home, you go to the office, you go through his desk.
Exactly.
Or her desk. You get to steal office supplies. I mean, there's all sorts of advantages.
Or some compromising blackmail material.
That's what I'm talking about. Come on.
Yeah.
Julie Bauke, the Bauke Group. Right? Bauke, the Bauke Group. Check her out on LinkedIn first. That's a great spot for her. And Julie Bauke will hook you up and does great work and keeps us informed on jobs and trends and stuff like that. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Take care.
There you go. That's Julie Bauke.